Morning, everybody. Luke is here. Luke Smith is here. He says Mayor-elect, but we know. We all know this. Anyway, welcome to Facebook Live. If you just joined us, glad to have you along. You can post your questions for Luke Smith right here on this page. We'd love to hear from you. Just go ahead, post your questions, and Luke tells me he'll answer as well. Anything.
No, anything you want.
He's not proud. If he was proud, he wouldn't be right here on Logan's 101 FM with me. I got to sit here. You'll see my hand. That's all you need to see. It's all about Luke Smith. Very good. Okay, here we go. I was actually just chatting about this song off air while we had a little word with Luke Smith, who's in the studio with us right now. And I said, I remember I was about 16 when that tune was out, and I did play a mean air guitar. So, over the weekend, if you didn't know, if you lived in a cave maybe for, I don't know, for the past 6 months or whatever, there were some elections going on, and one of those elections was to decide who is going to be the next mayor of the fine city of Logan. There were many candidates, all of them had their good qualities, but one of them was here in the studio just 2 weeks ago. That was Luke Smith. And I said at the end of the interview, well, I'll probably see you in 2 weeks' time. And here we are, Luke. First of all, congratulations. Hey, tell me, what was Saturday night like?
Oh, well, look, thank you for having me on your show, Mike. I really appreciate it. And can I say Happy Harmony Day?
Indeed.
It's a great day to celebrate our cultural diversity. As you know, we have 216 different cultures represented in our great city, which makes us one of the most multicultural cities in Australia. But don't forget, we've got a tremendous support from the Indigenous community as well, and we don't want to make sure that they're always in our focus and always honour them as well. So, yeah, Happy Harmony Day.
That sounds great. And we'll be asking a little bit about that as our little chat goes on. But getting back to the question about Saturday night, I would imagine it became quite an exciting night when one of your opponents decided to just chuck in the towel, as it were.
Yeah, it was, and I have to acknowledge that Brett was very kind and generous in his in conceding and giving me a call around about 8:20 on the night. It certainly was a time for all those who stood on the booths for me all through the heat, the rain, just to get the name of Luke Smith out there was just a fantastic honour to be in a room full of people who are behind you. It's a great experience. And can I say from the outset, I just want to thank the City of Logan for putting their trust in me and carrying the city into the next term.
And you talk about the volunteers. I mean, let's face it, you did your job. You were out there campaigning, meeting people. But without them, nobody could have done this.
No, and we had a tremendous force of people out there. Well over 400 people were there for us on the day to help us out. And again, the people of Logan were there and made a very clear statement of who they would like to see as their next mayor. And I'm just glad that was me.
Which is fantastic. And obviously, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. We talked about some of your plans, some of your hopes. Yeah. But the real job starts now.
Yeah, correct. And because of the result we did get, it was a great result. Well, I believe I'll walk in with a mandate with some of the commitments that I've made, or all the commitments I've made throughout the campaign, and I'll work now to honour those and also just ensure that the voice of the city is heard. And always remembering that I don't represent council to the community. I represent the community to council, and that will never be forgotten.
And it's really all about the community. I mean, last time you were on, we had people sending questions in via our Facebook page. Yeah. As we mentioned, if you just joined us, we're on Facebook Live right now as well. You are one of these people because you live here, you've brought your kids up here, you know the problems that people face in Logan.
And I know the good things too. I was born here.
In the studio? Wow.
I was raised right here in Kingston, just a few streets away from the studio. And being raised in Logan gives you a tremendous understanding of the city, but also gives us understanding of what we've been through to get where we are today. And so I can't be any more prouder than where we are as a city, and I'm so much looking forward to seeing where we're going to be in the next 4 years.
So we've got 4 years. What's plan number one? What's the first thing that you're going to do?
First thing is we're watching eagerly the results of the council election. So there's a couple of seats that are still yet to be clear on what the result is. And particularly Division 3, Division 7, we're looking at those, and there's then 5 and 6. Those divisions had quite, because they were vacant divisions, Councillor Abel retiring and me stepping out of Division 6, so there were quite a few people that put their hand up for those, so that'll take a while. But first order of business will be to ensure that whoever is elected on the council, that we work together as a team. And I'll be focusing on that team building process in the first 6 months. We've got to go through the budget pretty well straight away. So as soon as the team is sworn in, we'll be heading into the budget discussions. But that team concept has to stand true right at the beginning of this term. We need to make sure that whoever's elected, we get on, work together. We don't have party politics here. We're not aligned in a party in any way. We're 13 individuals, and it's my hope that every person elected will stand up and say, yes, we'll work together for the sake of the city, because that's what the city wants and that's what the city deserves. So
we're looking for unity for starters. Marion has sent a message in here on Facebook this morning. Marion says, what are your plans for the traffic on the Waterford Tambourine Road with the extra traffic that comes through from Yarrabilba?
Yeah, it's a great question, because Yarrabilba is now the fastest growing new estate in Australia. We're seeing a tremendous amount of people who are moving there on a monthly basis. Part of their development application with the state government, and it needs to be clear that we are not the planning authority for Yarrabilba, that comes from the Economic Development Queensland, and they oversee the planning and responsibilities for Yarrabilba. So part of their condition was to contribute financially to upgrading Waterford Tambourine Road. Prior to the election, I was in the room with Minister Bailey and having that very conversation about what are you going to do with the money that's been given to you and how are you going to upgrade that road. So there are plans that have been drawn up right now. Main roads are actually in the process of working that through. My only concern is that the plans only go just before Logan Village. And so we don't want to have a repeat of what we see on the M1, where we go from a fire hose to a garden hose and back to a fire hose. So we want to make sure that pushes right through the township of Logan Village so that we can get that traffic out there as quick as possible. Because it's not just Waterford Tambourine. It's when it hits Logan River Road.
Absolutely.
And then when it hits Logan Lee Road. Because that's the only trunk road onto the M1. So there's quite a lot of work we've got to do. Logan Lee Road is a council road, but those two intersections of Waterford Tambourine and Logan River, we need the state to pay some attention to that, and I'll be having a very good conversation with Minister Bailey about those things.
Well, that's one thing. I mean, we mentioned it last time. We talked about public transport, but just sticking with the roads, for me, if I come off at the Beanley North turn-off, coming off the M1, it can take me 40 minutes to get here, and it should actually take me 10 minutes. And the Kingston Road, it's just gridlocked. And these are areas that people are very, very concerned about. But you did mention public transport, and especially the outer areas, places like Yarrabilba, and we talked about maybe having some transportation after 7 o'clock at night in the Logan region. Is all of this something that you'll now be seriously looking at?
Absolutely. I made a commitment to financially contributing to the state government's public transport needs across the city. I believe that I was elected with a mandate to follow through with that, and that'll be seen in our first budget. Public transport, filling those gaps. The first thing we need to do is join with TransLink and contribute together to complete an integrated transport plan right across the city. Now, we intuitively know where the gaps are, but we need to get that in the minds of the experts and so that we can fill those gaps financially. Now, the money that I've committed to is $4 million over the first term. That's not enough to fix the problem, but it's enough to get the state to the table, and that's exactly where I need them to be.
Okay, Shane Drew on Facebook has said, where is the water park looking at being situated if it gets approval? And he wants to know, will it be council-owned, run, or privately owned or run? Yeah,
and that's a great question, Shane. Shane's a tremendous Loganite, tremendous business owner as well. Look, the commitment I've made to water park is to consult the community on where they want it. There are a couple of obvious spots. One would be the Logan River Park, which is at the end of the Red Bridge on the highway. Did you know that park was actually designed as a cable ski park prior to it coming into Logan? And so there's some water holes in the middle of it, and it was purpose-built for cable skiing. The company that built it weren't able to continue, and the Gold Coast Council bought it and used it as a park today. That's an obvious spot to look at. There's a couple of other old sand mining holes that are in Marsden and the park behind Demio Park and Berrinbar Wetlands, those areas. So not the wetlands, I'm not saying the wetlands, but behind that in Demio Park there's some good spots. And I'm sure that we'll have opportunity to investigate both council operation and joint venture operation. So always mindful of not increasing rates to get these lollies along the way.
And that's the thing, because
Correct.
people want these things, but actually they're not
Correct.
that keen on paying for it either.
Yeah.
We'll come back to the Facebook questions in a minute. We talked about the family life. Obviously, you're very much a family man. We also said, when you go back to Pam Parker, and she admitted publicly what an impact that being mayor had on the family. You had a little bit of a rough publicity ride a couple of weeks ago, especially on the front page of one of our local newspapers, when Pam Parker actually endorsed you as her pick, her choice for mayor. How did that affect the family? How did that affect you?
Well, I've been in council now 10 years. It's always a transition when you go from being a very loved community worker to being a councillor where you're making decisions that not everyone likes. And so I've formed a lot of thick skin along the way, and as have my family. And in the last 10 years, my role has increased tremendously in council, and I took on more and more responsibility. We are now at a point where we can find that work-life balance, and it's great. So my family are tremendously supportive. We don't really get involved with what other people say. We try always to focus on where we are as a family and where I would like to go as a mayor of the city leading into the future. So we tend to just ignore those opinions around us. We have people around us who we do listen to, who offer great critique, and that's where we spend most of our time.
And I'm just thinking again, we mentioned this before, you know, we live in this era of social media, and people can put fairly unkind things on Facebook and Twitter and all the rest of it, and the kids can handle all of this.
Well, I keep some of it away, but the reality is it stuns me what people can actually say on Facebook, because you wouldn't actually go up to somebody and say some of these things.
Definitely not.
And
no.
But it seems that I call them mice with megaphones. They sit on the keyboard and they seem to have a loud voice, but when you face them, to their face, they don't actually say the things they're saying to you on Facebook.
No, it's keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
It's quite scary. Here's an interesting one from a young lady called Jane. She wants to know, what are the plans to support an integrated response to domestic violence for the city? And of course, I've got to make it clear, it's not just Logan that struggles with domestic violence. It's everywhere in Australia.
Yeah, and that's something that particularly Minister Fentiman has been working very hard on and introduced into Parliament. I'll be leaving most of that in her capable hands, and I'll definitely be supporting her along the way. We as a city had a walk against domestic violence last year, led by our Mayor Pam Parker, and she's still the current mayor, so I have to leave that until the polls are declared. And that was a tremendously supported walk. Every single councillor at the time, every official of the city will stand against domestic violence, but we're being led by Minister Fentiman, and I'll leave most of the work in her hands, but support her along the way.
Sure. It's really interesting. It's almost like the morning after you wake up having been married, and you think, hang on, how did this happen? It must be the same. It's going to take a little while for that tag of Mayor of Logan City. And I know that you said you Mayor-elect, but it's happening.
But in Logan, Mike, I'm always Luke.
Exactly.
And that's never going to change.
And I think the proof of that, my dear listener, is the fact that on the first official morning, here he is, right here, talking to us on Logan City. Nice message, Marion, who asked you the question earlier. She says, thank you and congratulations on your success.
Oh, that's lovely.
Which is great. So all of the people, all of your helpers, your volunteers, what happens with them now? Because it must be, it's a little bit like, wow, the after-party effect. Yeah. Whew, now what are they going to do?
What are my volunteers going to do? Well, they're all very active in their own communities. We were blessed in the fact that we had people who were from specific areas help us on those particular election booths. And, I'll continue to support them as I have in the past, and they'll continue to support me. We've got a great bunch of people who are active in their community right across the city. And they're the things I choose to focus on, Mike. Previously, as you were saying about the negative stuff, there's a lot of positives in this city. And when you go through an election, you can choose to listen to the voice of the minority, or you can enjoy the silence of the majority. And that's where I sit most of the time.
Which is great. Now, I know that you're a busy man. You've got lots to do, so we are going to let you run off this morning. If there were people that you specifically wanted to thank, apart, obviously, from the people that voted, who would it be?
Well, obviously, I'd like to thank our outgoing Mayor, Pam Parker. She's believed in me. I've worked with her now for close to 15 years, both in the community and also in council. And I wish her all the very best in her retirement, her and George. They definitely deserve the rest, and I just pray a lot of blessings on their life. But also my family, my wife Andrea, she's been a tremendous support, and we've just got a lot of people out there who just came behind and just said, thank you very much. And so they're right there. I want to thank them, but more importantly, thank you, Logan, for believing in me. I will not let you down.
Well, there you are. And all I can say, to make the people of Logan even happier, if you could just take the posters and banners down now, that'd be terrific.
Like, they're already gone. So there's just a couple on the east that we haven't been able to get down yet, but most of the city, they're gone.
Yeah. I'm thinking that there's one that I see when I'm driving northbound just before the Logan High pedometer. Oh, wow, look, he's on both sides of the street. But, anyway, seriously, Luke, congratulations. We hope, certainly much here at Logan 101, to be involved when you have your big flash parties. We would like to be involved in them, because obviously being a local radio station for Logan, but we'll be with you, we're behind you every step of the way.
Thank you, Mike.
And please, let's make it a regular occurrence of you coming in for a visit.
Let's do that, and Happy Harmony Day again.
Happy Harmony indeed. So there we are, an exclusive right here on Logan 101 FM. We had Luke Smith, who is mayor-elect, but hey, that means he's got the job, people.
We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. Built this city.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure. And we'll
A couple of pros, eh? A couple of pros.
Let me just say goodbye to Facebook Live people, then we'll take a couple of pictures.
A couple of pictures for Luke goes. I'll just grab it. Yeah.
So there you are, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Luke Smith, we've got more interviews coming up this morning, but they are the only ones we're doing on Facebook Live. So our new Mayor of Logan, right here on 101 FM and on Facebook Live as well. Please stay with me on the radio between now and 12 midday. We've got some great music for you. Catch you later.